Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. Really delighted to be here to be having this conversation with you. My name is Dr. Philip Orumwense. I'm the Commercial Director and Chief Procurement Officer for Technology at the Crown Commercial Service. We are a buying organization for UK central government and public sector organizations. In a few minutes, I'm going to be talking through digital transformation during a time of change and a pandemic response. Can I have the next slide, please? Um, um, for the session, I'm going to be talking about what our priorities are within the UK government. I'll be looking at the pandemic impacts on government technology utilization, our approach to standardization and aggregation, technology within the Crown Commercial Service, the government technology annual spend, and I will close the session with our operating paradigm. Next slide, please. So what are our priorities? Presently, we are looking at building back better, which the Prime Minister have announced across central government. We're looking to level up, the economy, using economic growth to try and grow our way out of the pandemic. We're also looking to invest heavily in the NHS to continue to grow and strengthen our ability to look after the health of the nation. We are putting new procurement hubs in place to ensure that we continue to grow and consolidate, aggregate all of our commercial spend. And then we're looking at growing even more so our sustainability agenda through initiatives such as the net carbon zero and a range of other activities. So in doing all of those things, it requires growing our technology landscape to be able to pull together that overarching mobility, technology mobility across the nation. Can I have the next slide, please? So, what's our response in terms of the pandemic impacts on government technology utilization? Because of the variation in the way we're having to now work as a nation and as a people, there's less engagement in terms of people going into offices and working from buildings and facilities. So having to work from home and offering the flexibilities for our people to be able to engage in driving up the public sector agenda. Hybrid working practices have become the norm. So we are sweating the use and adoption of digital and technology, routeways in terms of being able to connect and become much more operationally mobile. And that means there's a huge draw on our ability to use activities, platforms like Zoom, Teams, and other channels for communication. It also means that we're having to put more bandwidth out there in terms of growing technology utilization for schools, in local authorities and across public service provision, which means we are sweating more of the assets that we already have. We are driving automation into what we do. We are reducing our property footprint across the agenda. What also means is in the center, my team and several other teams across central government are supporting the drive for the NHS track and trace. We are supporting getting laptops and computers for schools. We're looking to consolidate and aggregate even more so in terms of providing additional value add in terms of how we adopt technology. We are beginning to interact with providers of those technology solutions, to ensure that the capacity, the demand is there and can be met. It also means that we're looking to build on those advantages that's presenting in terms of future transformations, in terms of being able to ensure that our network and security provisions are there at the hub of what we do. We are able to grow the economy even at a time where there's a pandemic response on the go. It means that government business carries on the way it was intended to do, and even more so increasing productivity. So all of these tools are coming together in such a way that those current transformations and future transformations are creating a complex mix of interactions between our supply chain providers on the one hand, government departments and other public sector organizations on the other hand, and the center absolutely consolidating, aggregating, extending the opportunities for us to leverage some of those technology platforms. Can I have the next slide, please? So how are we standardizing, aggregating? I've talked about this very, very briefly, shortly. So government buying as one through centralized buying processes for those standard goods and services, especially in technology. So we're beginning to collaborate with vendors out there, creating memorandum of understanding, putting together frameworks that allows us to begin to converge that interest, i.e. government seen as one stakeholder to our potential providers. Now, this is going to grow over time, so we're working a number of strategies and platforms and policies that will bring together, that will crystallize that thinking, that allows us to collaborate more where there's a common interest, where we're able to go to market with a joint demand profile that gives us the opportunity to not only leverage our size, not only leverage the access that we have, but also begin to build on those opportunities to influence the outcomes that we're able to get from the marketplace. That also means that we're able to begin to look at developing interoperability within our technology stack, looking to maximize the opportunity for developing reusable assets, strategic assets over time, but optimizing the environment in such a way that we can learn from one deployment to another. So again, that gives us great opportunities to deploy even more digital and technology advancements in the way we conduct government business through plug and play type activities and solutions, but also looking to enhance the commercial offer that underpins that particular engagement. We're looking to ensure that we provide an e-enabled marketplace that allows us to, through dynamic purchasing systems, allow people to, in real time, engage with innovative technology solutions that meets their needs at the time, but also flexible enough to begin to future-proof their demands going forwards. I've talked about consolidation and aggregation in terms of how we are looking to bundle together common requirements to ensure that we have a better understanding of the canvas, the platform that we are operating within, but more crucially, to be able to leverage value from it. Again, that's even more prevalent in technology and digital solutions, where those capabilities are portable from one environment to another, and therefore leveraging assets such as cloud-based computing, managed cloud, the sort of provisions that you would expect us to be able to crystallize and leverage over time. Again, we are working on all those opportunities to grow that convergence within the government estate. Doing all of this helps us to maximize the return on our investment to strategic alliances and reuse, but more crucially, developing the crown supply, chains that ensure we begin to understand who owns, the supply chain data within government, which gives us the intelligence, the business insights that allows us to plan better, but also understand the connections between the various departments, various public sector groups, and where government spends its money. So I think all of those intelligence will come together in a way that helps us grow. Next slide, please. So at the Crown Commercial Services, I manage £8 billion technology spend portfolio. And across the rest of CCS, we have the buildings pillar, we have the people pillar, and we have the corporate pillar. But within technology, our services extends to network services, where we have about £1.2 billion spent going through some of our frameworks, delivering connectivity, looking at space technology, geospatial technology, and co-location technology solutions. We also have the digital future that looks at G-Cloud, which is really popular framework that allows people to deliver most of their technology and digital capabilities. Within that digital future category, we have the applications development and cloud services. Again, a very growing opportunity area for us and across central government and wider public sector. Thirdly, we have the tech products and services, where we currently have about £2 billion going through that. That's largely focused on delivering IT hardware, IT services, and innovation. That category in itself has been very, very preeminent in terms of our response to the pandemic, and have delivered successfully both within the health response, but also in the educational sector response. And then lastly, we have the software and security solutions, where we have about £1.7 billion going through those frameworks, with agreements with the likes of Microsoft, Oracle, software, cybersecurity, and a range of other plethora of activities that goes through that framework. Next slide, please. So within central government, we spend largely over £19 billion on technology per year, and that splits across various government departments, ALBs, and non-ministerial bodies and other public sector bodies. Within our public sector, the reach is as much as £11.3 billion, which is quite huge. So the opportunity for us to begin to shape and form the market is quite huge. And therefore, we do offer from the center an opportunity for that convergence, and that will grow over time. Next slide, please. So what's our strategy? How am I approaching what we're trying to do here? So I've got in-life management, which is our response to how do we grow and engage with our users of our commercial services and solutions. And then I've also got research and development. How am I beginning to build my strategy in terms of what are those frameworks that we're going to be putting out there? How are we engaging with the customers and the suppliers to ensure that those frameworks really max the market, which means they're able to understand their role in it, building on market insights and customer expectations. Having set up those frameworks, we'll be looking to deliver those frameworks, working with our customers and suppliers to handhold their hands in terms of navigating themselves through the exploitation of those arrangements. And then there's operating the framework itself, and then growing the capabilities that are set out within those particular frameworks. Next slide, please. And then again, I've talked about is managing compliance to public sector procurement regulations, reviewing and improving, building the supply relationship management, helping to inform and support users of those commercial solutions, and driving innovation through the adoption of the capabilities that are set out in those frameworks. Next slide, please. So in a sense, what we're trying to do here is to try and grow the technology and digital adoption routes within the central government and wider public sector, but more crucially, to begin a conversation with our user departments within central government and within wider public sector, to see where there's a gap in terms of the commercial offer, and to see how we can begin to consolidate, aggregate, and through inter and interoperability, begin to share best practices from one department to another, but more crucially, to find a platform that allows everyone to exploit innovative technology solutions that are currently being rolled out there in the marketplace. We're also working with partners across the platforms in terms of their service offer, trying to understand precisely how we bring those innovations through our commercial solutions to some of our customer segments, whilst understanding their needs, their particular requirements, mapping those onto a pipeline of engagements that we're able to share with a number of our supply providers who can help deliver those capabilities over time. So at the Crown Commercial Service, we are driving together an opportunity for standardization, an opportunity for aggregation, for consolidation, but more crucially, looking at where innovation sits and enabling that innovation to be signposted through our commercial offer, but also at the same time ensuring they meet the need of our customer groups and users of our frameworks. So the opportunity for us to help grow the UK local economy, to help develop the pandemic response in terms of technology solutions, capacity, capability, and innovation is quite high on the agenda. We will continue to drive engagement through our sustainability agenda, but more crucially, bringing SMEs, innovators into our supply chain to ensure that we ensure local growth, UK growth, but more crucially, tap into the core expertise that sits within that niche SME segments. That's all I wanted to share this afternoon. I hope you found it useful, and thank you for listening.